Hello there. I thought today we'd have a look at the EMEET SmartCam Nova 4K. Nothing amazingly special, but it's a budget 4K webcam, which will do 1080p 60 frames a second, what it's at the moment. As you can see, it's pretty vibrant. The HDR, or the colorations of it in terms of the filming, is pretty decent. Zoom's pretty, it follows. Oh, it does lose a bit of focus there, but it sort of, it does sort of refocus, which is kind of cool. And as I said, I'm not that knowledgeable about webcams. I've never really streamed with a webcam before, so it's very much different. But I can't complain too much. Obviously, right now we're at 1080p 60. We will switch to the other settings in a minute, and we'll do 2560 by 1440p, which is 2K resolution, and then 4K, which both the 2K and the 4K are at 30 frames a second. So obviously the frame rate is not a lot slower, but generally, I mean, I can't complain too much, to be honest. There's not really any sort of software that comes with it. You get a little remote. It's not too bad for what it is. Once you get used to knowing how everything works on it and stuff. But generally, it's pretty cool. And I distracted there. So that's our 1080p 60. I haven't streamed with this yet. This came in. This was via the Amazon sale last week, I believe it was, which came in at £58. I believe it's more like £70 now. There is a cheaper version of this, I think, that comes in at 45. Obviously there's going to be some minor downgrades on specs, but it was between this and the 4K, sorry, the 1080p Mark Cam, the Elgato one, which was, I think that came in at £89, I believe. But I was like, I don't stream enough to really warrant it, so I thought, well, for 58 quid, it does 4K. All right, it's only at 30 frames a second, but I don't move around a lot. There's some really cool ones. Like there's one called the Obit, which will track and move and look at you when you move and stuff, which is kind of cool. But I sit stationary most of the time anyway, and I don't really need that. So maybe if I got into it in a more professional manner, but generally right now this is quite perfectly fine for for what I do. Not to mention the fact that obviously I didn't do a great deal of streaming. I've only just started doing streaming on camera because I wasn't that keen on it, if I'm honest. So that's our 1080p at 60. We're gonna now by 40. So just make sure when you do the audio output through OBS that you set it to custom audio device, and the audio device is the webcam, because obviously you can also have it via, so you can record via the heads, talk through the headset. Not just like, obviously the quality is going to be better, I'd imagine, through a headset to some degree than what's, and I think the audio on this is fairly basic, nothing that amazing special, but for the price, I really have no complaints. Yeah, and you can mess about. You can change your color space if you wish. Don't think it makes a great deal of difference. Color range. Set to buffering, but I really don't really understand what a lot of this means, to be honest. But again, obviously it's not as fluid, but it looks pretty good. I really can't complain. And I think you can go down. You might be able to get down to 720p. I'm not really sure. I'll have a look in a minute. Obviously, your remote does variations of different things, so you can. Oh, does zoom in okay. Focus is pretty decent. Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, you can. All right, yeah, so you can mess with it. Yeah. So that's our 1440p, and then let's go to the big one, which is our 4K, and that fills the whole OBS screen completely. Again, pretty vibrant. So I'm not really kind of used to cameras and stuff, but it tracks quite well. For the price, it for me, it looks good. I mean, compared to the Logitech one I was using before, which was quality on that was really grainy and really rather poor. And I think that was 1080p at 30 frames a second. It's quite a few years old. For the money, this is pretty good. As I said, there is a cheaper version of this, and I think there might be some different variations of it. If you're like a really professional streamer, then obviously you've got your Orbit or Obit or Orbit, something like that. Logitech. I think Razer's got a really expensive one, but Razer always have expensive stuff. And obviously Elgato is sort of the kings of a lot of this sort of stuff. But again, you pay some stuff. Just lose focus a little bit when I'm moving, but a little bit. But it gets back into focus pretty quick. And as I said, the Elgato I've got an Elgato capture card for my video game footage and stuff. I've just done a video on the impending stupidity of PlayStation and Sony and their basically their idea to basically kick all physical media no more as of 2028. So I did a little video on that, filmed via this webcam, and I was quite happy with the results. You can see it losing focus a little bit as I'm moving around in the chair. There you go, loses focus, but it comes back fairly quickly. So for it was £58, even £70. I mean, if you're into professional streaming, then I would imagine you get like an Elgato device or something a little bit more expensive. But for what this is, I have really no complaint. It's decent. It really is decent. I'm quite happy with this. I will do some streaming with this. I'm still getting used to the whole stream thing. But if you're doing professional, then I would imagine you go for something more expensive, Elgato possibly, or one of the others. Logitech have got some good stuff as well. What's my channel? But yeah, generally, so that is the EMEET SmartCam Nova 4K. Really a nice piece of kit. I really can't complain. And if you're, I mean, do your research. Look and what you're looking for in terms of a webcam. But I have no complaints with this. It's excellent. And I'll probably do a little box up there for when I do a stream. So I've got Star Fox and I've got some other games to try at some point. Work permitting, of course, as everything is. I'll leave it there anyway, and thank you for listening to me ramble on, and have a good day. Peace.